Hello and welcome to Sailing Elsie. My name is Seth and I aim to earn your subscription today. For those of you who clicked on this video just to hear about the Vevor 800 watt wind turbine, I'm going to go ahead and put that first in the video, and I invite you to stick around. This channel is primarily about what it's taking to adjust my life to leave land and go sail the world. So I cordially invite you to subscribe and join me for the journey. We're also going to talk about some upgrades I've made to the boat and some upcoming upgrades. So stick around and we'll get into it. So this week has been much windier than the previous week, so we do have some decent gains. I'll go over the numbers with you right now and see what we got this week. A little warning to my regular viewers that this next portion of the video is a little dry and heavy in the numbers. I appreciate you sticking in there. And really, listen to this voice. It'll put you to sleep. The display on top is from last week, and the one on the bottom is done today. So this week. And the value that we're looking at is on the bottom left hand, and this is the minimum voltage that it has experienced. So the battery bank was drawn down a little bit further this week than it had been the previous week. Alright, now looking at amp hours. Now this is cumulative, so we have a total that the wind turbine has produced since I've been recording it, and we have 29.132 and it was 7.969 last week, so the difference is 21.16 amps, or I'm sorry, amp hours that this turbine has produced in the past 7 days. Some of you may not know what an amp hour is, so I'll give you a brief description. An ampere, otherwise known as an amp, is a measure of current, and when you add a time factor in that, it's a measure of current over amount of time, and you can use that to calculate the usage or storage of electrical power. So if this wind turbine had an output of 20 amps for 1 hour, that would be 20 amp hours. Or if it put out twice as much power for half the amount of time, still 20 amp hours. Watt hours is very similar to amp hours, except that it takes into account the voltage. So where amps measures current, watt is a measure of power. And the difference there is you can have 100 watts with a voltage of 100 and a current of 1 amp, or the voltage of 1 amp, or 1 volt, sorry, and current of 100 amps. Either one of those would be 100 watts. Or any other combination of watts, or sorry, volts and amps. Volts times amps equals watts. Watt hours adds the time element to the equation, and 10 watts for an hour is 10 watt hours, or 1 watt for 10 hours is 10 watt hours. Anyway, this is cumulative figures, bottom left on these. They're cumulative, so we're at 397.6 now. Subtract 115.6, we were where we were at this time last week, and that gives us a figure of 282 watt hours that the turbine created this week. Again, we're looking at the bottom left corner of these displays, and right now it's displaying the peak amperage that it has recorded. So last week the peak amperage that it had recorded up to that point was 7.2 amps, and this week it has got up to a peak of 10.14 amps, and that's probably where our 137 watt figure came from. Let me do the math on that real quick. Alright, so if we take our 137 watts, peak watts that it made earlier, and divide it by the 10.14 amps, means that the battery voltage at that time was 13.5 volts. This is still super shy of the 66 amps that we would expect from an 800 watt wind turbine. I'll go into that a little bit later and tell you, are they lying to us? Or is there a good reason for it? Alright, so here's that power figure I just mentioned. I thought I showed it earlier, but I remember I saved it for last for a reason. So the peak power, peak wattage recorded as of last week was 96, and this week we had a nice little spike, went up to 137.7. Now 137.7 is a long ways away from 800 watts. So I did a little research. I was wondering, like, are they lying to me? Can I reasonably expect to get 800 watts out of a wind turbine? What's going on here? So let me explain what I found out, and you can just add it to your knowledge base, and do some of your own research, and let me know what you think in the comments. Here we go. So here's the main reason why I think nobody is really seeing output from these turbines anywhere near what they're rated for. And that wind speed has a huge factor in this. It's so wind power, the power that wind speed will create, increases by the cube of wind speed. This is very important to understand. The wind power at 10 miles an hour with a given rotor size might be 100 watts, but at 20 miles per hour will be 800 watts. As the wind speed doubles, the wind power goes up by a factor of 8. And there's a formula to calculate it, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to go to some place that already has it all done. So I put in all of our numbers for this particular wind generator or wind turbine, and the blade length, the diameter of the circle that it makes is 59 inches. Cut that in half, convert it to feet, 2.46 feet. Gives us a swept area of 19 square feet. Now I put in the wind speed here of 27, which is the rated speed for 800 watts out of this particular wind turbine. And it says that the available wind power is 1900 watts. However, the turbine efficiency isn't going to be more than 50. The number that this calculator auto-populates with is 30%. I did a quick search to see what compact turbines would produce, and it said between 30 and 50. So let's give the Vevor 800 the benefit of the doubt, rated at 50%, and wake losses at 5%. That's an auto-populated thing. I don't quite understand what that is, but I'm just going to leave it there. So that gives us an output power before losses of 900 watts. So obviously there's some watts on that. And after all these calculated watts, it's 870. Okay, so I don't think Vevor is going to be 50% efficient. So let's say, actually, I think I ran the numbers earlier. Let's see if I remember this. 44.27 gives an output of 800 before losses and 770 after losses. And to be fair, they're probably closer. If it's 30 to 50, let's just call them 40% efficient blades, which gives an output of 722. So anyway, let's move on from the efficiency part of the blades, but really look at why people aren't seeing the numbers that they want to be seeing. You know, when you buy an 800 watt turbine but only see 150. So here's what we're looking at. Let me put this number back here. 44.27. All right, so that gives us our 800. So let's just say this is our number. This is what the turbine is rated for. If we change the speed to 10 miles an hour, look at that. Power output goes down to 40. 10 miles an hour. Now say, I think we had like 15 mile an hour winds the other day, or I might have got that one peak value at 15 miles an hour. 137. Isn't that not what I got? I mean, it's literally, I believe, the same number. 137 is the peak. So maybe, just maybe, this is rated accurately. However, I do kind of doubt it's going to put out 66 amps, which is what it would have to put out into a 12-volt load, or into a 12-volt battery to make 800 watts. So I think that thing might be smoking if it was putting out a constant 800 watts. But I could be wrong. Could be wrong. So here's my takeaway on this so far. I don't think I'm going to use this in the future. It would take... I have 2,000 watts worth of solar panels, or I will. And it would take the solar panels in full sun about 10 minutes to make the same 400 watt hours that it took the wind turbine 2 weeks to make. And granted, it's cool. It's a spinny thing. The kids love it when they drive by the boat. Dad, look at that. Really, the only good place to put it is in the back of the boat, which would essentially shade the solar panels, which that's, shooting your star athlete in the foot and then wanting to win the game. So, yeah, the other option was to put it in the bow, but then take it down and put it up. Take it down when I want to sail, get to an anchorage and put it up. And this thing is just huge. I literally, I won't be able to store it. It's just not a realistic thing to keep on board. So I think I'm going to X the wind turbine. If anybody wants it, let me know in the comments, and I will be happy to send it out. We'll work it out one way or the other. Anyway, let's get on to the next portion. There's not too much left of the video, and thanks for following along this far. Alright, so we are in storage and we are figuring out what to do with this engine. The whole engine isn't exactly what I thought it was, but I believe part of it is, and it still has some decent value to it. So I have to pull off the cylinder heads and then take a look. Look how clean this is. 1969. Thing has been taken care of and not used hard. Oil changed regularly. Looks like amazing. Almost brand new inside. Alright, I think this will come out now. Okay. Oops. Got some hoses still connected here. And out she comes. Hello, old girl. Alright, check that out. Man, clean. Just clean. Crazy. That is so crazy. 1969. How many years ago was that? A lot. Like 55? 55 years. Yo, baby. Alright, let's see if I can do this one-handed. Looks like I can. Alright, looks like we are free. Oops, I don't know if I got that. Anyway, this should come right off. Oh, heavier than I thought. I'm used to these manifolds being aluminum. This one is cast iron and it's heavy. I gotta put you guys down. Alright, so intake manifold is off. Everything looks just amazing in here. That green, I think, is some sort of paint, because there's also some on here as well. Just not sure if there's a significance to that or not.